Let's talk about the Mode80 First Edition by Mode Designs. This is the second rendition of the Mode80, the first being the 80 Founders Edition, and the third just being titled 80. There was 450 units of the first edition, mine being specifically unit number 17. This limited board ran in two different color variants, mine being the light color, which is a nice silver, and the other being the dark variant, which looks to be a dark gray. I had the choice to go with either color, but decided on the light version for preference. When this board was available, it retailed for $640 US A stock and $600 B stock. The 80 in all of its renditions is a TKL or 10 keyless form factor, which means it features essentially everything but the number pad. The case itself is made out of aluminum with a mirror polished chrome finished butt, or back of the keyboard. I like butt better when describing this piece, so that's what we're going to roll with here. After assembly, it weighs in at roughly 5 pounds, so it's a pretty hefty boy. It features a 5.5 degree typing angle and utilizes what they like to call a stack mount system to keep it all together. We'll go into the details of that later. For plate options, it comes included with aluminum, but there were brass, palm, polycarbonate, and FR4 options available as well for soldering. For hot swap, there was only aluminum available for plates, with standoffs being required for the build. The plates allow for both 7U and 6.25U spacebars and leave openings for where the stabilizers sit to allow room for fixing and adjusting stabs after the board's already been assembled. Now let's see the packaging that the Mode80 First Edition is shipped to you in. Quick notice before I enter the unboxing segment of this video. I don't remember exactly how it came packaged, so this is a rough recreation done to the best of my abilities. It comes in a magnetic latch box with the Mode80 branding on the top. Underneath, you're greeted with a message. Meet the 80. Keyboards have become integral to work, play, and creative expression. The 80 elevates the look, sound, and feel of this essential tool. We hope your experience with it is as fun as it is fruitful. Your friends at Mode. Isn't that sweet? Once opened, you'll find an ID card showing the specs of your respective keyboard, some Allen keys and spare hardware, a Mode branded microfiber cloth, and a branded USB-C cable, all sitting in a top tray that you remove to reveal the case for your Mode80. Before getting into the keyboard itself, I'd like to touch upon the case that it travels in. It's a very nice quality and is pretty different from the typical hard cases that you see from vendors such as TX. The case that the Mode80 travels in is a bit thinner and softer compared to the TX, which is much more hard shell. The materials are also different, with the Mode case being somewhat of a leathery material compared to the TX's fabric. The Mode case as a whole is also thinner and more form-fitting to the 80 since it was designed specifically for it, whereas the TX case is a bit thicker and chunkier, but was also designed to fit multiple size keyboards, not just one specifically. Now that we've gotten the case comparison out of the way, it's time for the contents of the Mode80 First Edition. I did my best to wrap the paper around the keyboard as nicely as it came in, but didn't really succeed. There was an attempt, to say the least. The board is secured down by two Velcro straps inside of the case. After removing the board and unwrapping it, you are met with the Mode80 First Edition in all of its glory. Ah yes, the smile only a mother could love. Once you're done goofing off with the mirror butt, you can start laying out all the pieces for the build. First off, you obviously have your case. Then you have your necessary backplate foam, your extra hardware if you're doing a hot swap build, your Mode80 PCB, and your plate of choice. If you're doing hot swap, aluminum unfortunately is the only option. After this, all you need is your switches, keycaps, and stabilizers of your choice, and you are ready for your Mode80 First Edition mechanical keyboard build. I don't care what you say, that was kind of smooth. Before getting into the build process, I guess we're going to talk about the case and PCB of this board just a little bit more. One aesthetic feature I really enjoy about this keyboard is the seamless designs the sides and the bottom of the case have, with the back showing the mirror polish finish from the butt. It just looks really slick sitting on your desk. I also love how they added one numbered keyboard out of 450 you own to the bottom portion of the case and underneath the top portion. It makes the board feel a little more personal. I'm a big fan of details like this. Now for the PCB. The Mode80's PCB features a nice matte black finish and has Mode branding on the bottom and was designed by Gondolindrim. Apologies if I butchered that pronunciation. As I said before, it comes in hot swap and solderable options and is QMK and VIA compatible. It utilizes a daughter board which is screwed into the bottom housing of the case and is connected via JST cable to the PCB. Getting the completed board hooked up to the JST cable in the daughter board can be a little tricky, but we'll go over that during the next portion of the video, which is the build process. I feel like the first thing to start with when discussing the Mode80's build process is its mounting system, the stack mount. It's very unique from other mounting systems that I've seen, but also very similar to others at the same time. Stack mount really is essentially just gasket mounting, just on what seems to be a bit of a larger scale. What I mean by that is there is a back piece foam that is required for this build. It is not possible to build it without it. And on the top of the plates there are pour-on gaskets that press up against the top of the casing. This in itself forms its own sort of large-scale gasket mounting in comparison to boards such as the KeyCult 160, where there's about 12 gaskets spread along the top and bottom casing. All of these being held together by 3 screws on the back of the keyboard. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little concerned when I saw there was only 3 screws holding together this pretty hefty keyboard, but after a couple months, I've yet to have any issues with the screws or the mounting system in general. There is an optional plate foam that fits very snug in between the plate and the PCB for a more muted typing experience, but is definitely not required, unlike the back foam that is needed for the board to be held together properly. Actually putting everything together is no different than any other keyboard. You'll screw in your stabilizers, take the plate of your choosing and snap in your switches, solder them down or snap them into place if you're using hot swap. And then once your build is together, you'll begin stacking all the components into the top layer of the case. See? Stack mount. The last portion of the build is what I would consider the trickiest. You need to connect the JST cable from the PCB to the daughter board. The JST cable it comes with was a little small, so it's kind of tricky to get it all plugged in, but if you're careful, it should be no problem. After you have the cable connected, you close up the case and you screw it down with its 3 individual screws. For my personal build, I decided to go with the solderable PCB, an aluminum plate, tuned Durock V1 stabilizers, and Alpaca V2 linear switches that I lubed with Krytox 205 grade 0. Along with this, I also chose to use the plate foam that was included. For keycaps, I decided to kit it with GMK white on black. Here's a typing test to get an idea of how this board can sound, but as always, just remember, take all keyboard sound tests with a grain of salt. So how should I feel about this keyboard? Well, I honestly really enjoy typing on it. I used it as a daily driver for quite a while, for being honest. It feels pretty quality, and I'm honestly just obsessed with the sleek look it has. I really like the typing angle. 5.5 degrees hits a really nice sweet spot. This specific build is very muted thanks to the plate foam, and the Alpaca V2's really seen the shine on this board. If I'm being completely honest with you, I personally think this is the best sounding keyboard that I have built to date. Before going into this portion of the video, I do want to be transparent and say I was sold this Mode80 First Edition at a significant discount from Mode Designs in exchange for content purposes. I personally could not see myself buying this board for the nearly $650 price that it retailed for. For an all aluminum case and a mirror finished butt, I personally would have liked to see the price be closer to the $500 range, but their current offering of the Mode80, the 80, did recently run for $470 and was more widely available, with more colors coming this summer. I believe that is a more fair price for this build, but the 80 does not offer the mirror polished butt or the light and dark color variants that were offered with the First Edition and Founders Edition. My final thoughts on this board is honestly mostly positives, with only one negative being the price. The combination of the minimalistic top case and mirror finished butt looks incredible. I love the muted sound and typing experience this board provides, and I stand by my statement that this is the best sounding keyboard that I have built to date. The packaging and unboxing experience as a whole was very enjoyable, just not $640 enjoyable, which brings me to my only real complaint of this board being the price tag. The $640 price tag seems a bit steep, but with the Mode80's latest rendition, the 80, being made available for less than $500, that's already been taken care of. I'm looking forward to future projects from Mode Designs, hopefully all featuring the stack mount. Cheers, friends. scrub. Gotta make it look pretty. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Isopropyl alcohol.